Hey everybody, it's Tony Cottaspoti from GreatVocalMajority.com website and YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about the fact that Barack Obama is leaving office and within the next couple of weeks, and I want to kind of summarize what I think Obama's legacy really is, as positively as I can possibly put it out there. I have been very critical of Obama throughout his 2 terms in office. I really believe he's a very extreme leftist that tried to get away with as many extreme things as possible. But there is a positive side to Obama's presidency that I'd like to talk about, and I'm calling this Obama's only valuable legacy. You see, Barack Obama has one legacy worth having, but he's not the one. He doesn't want that legacy. And what am I talking about? Well, Obama's presidency proved that Americans have sufficiently matured beyond whatever racial difficulties we've had in our past, enough to elect the first president who was not white. That's a big deal. And Obama, that's his legacy. He will always be that president. So that's a positive thing. But you see, the problem is that that's not really what Obama wanted to be. That's how he gained the presidency. That's not what he wanted to be as president. You see, his election in 2008 was evidence that Americans could see beyond race when electing its national leadership. However, Obama's agenda was not served by his own ascension to the presidency. As a left-wing extremist, his ideology really demanded division along lines of race, among other things like class and gender and sexual orientation and ethnicity and income. And this placed Obama in a position of diminishing his own success in achieving the presidency, and he had to portray it as sort of an anomaly. Anyone achieving the presidency is an anomaly in some sense, right? I mean, we all know that. But Obama didn't stand up and say, look at what I was able to do as biracial, if you don't want to call him black, a black man. I think he's a black man. I think he identifies as a black man. He didn't do that. He never did that. So instead of holding himself up as an example of how much the racial divide had healed and narrowed, Obama rejected his own success as evidence of it. And his extremism, his ideological extremism, sought to drive more division and more militancy. And, whereas most Americans, even many that didn't even vote for Obama, believed that his presidency would usher in a new era of racial harmony. That's what a lot of people were hoping for. They were wholly unaware that Obama was an extremist and that he would push even greater disharmony. Do you think people would have voted for Obama in 2008 if they knew that he would be this divisive for 8 years? I don't think so. And I think that he won in 2012 basically by defaming a very weak Republican candidate, Mitt Romney. But the distortion and perversion of the meaning of Obama's rise to the presidency fully blossomed on the occasions where he injected himself into a number of racially charged incidents, none of which, by the way, warranted presidential attention. Do you ever remember a president making comments like that about incidents that involved like black people in the police or anything like that? Never. And inasmuch as Obama was almost always opining without having any of the facts at his disposal to offer anything even resembling an informed opinion, his words could only serve to agitate an already inflamed situation. So instead of narrowing the racial divide, Obama had an almost obsessive compulsion, it seemed anyway, to torpedo any hope for reconciliation in any of these incidents. And all throughout his presidency, when opposition to his policies stood in his way, Republicans or whoever, frustrated Democrats would openly ascribe to that opposition to resentment owing to the president's race. Now, that may have been just a desperate attempt to gain some short-term political advantage by delegitimizing your opposition as racists or something along those lines. But it predictably soon followed that anytime people opposed Obama on policy, legitimately opposed him on policy, they were branded as racist. You couldn't oppose Obama anymore because you were called a racist. This is bad. This is bad. This is very divisive rhetoric and the way to try to run a country. But every bit of this could have been avoided had Obama not been so radically leftist and divisive. But that is really all the man knew, and that's all he's ever been schooled to do. You know, we can't forget the fact that nobody ever entered the presidency with a thinner resume than Barack Obama. Nobody. People say Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's run billion-dollar organizations. He's had thousands of people working for him. Barack Obama had nothing like that. Barack Obama, you know, although he's been hailed for his academic prowess, he's never revealed his courses of study as an undergraduate, as a graduate, in law school. He's never revealed that. We've never seen his college transcripts. We don't know what he studied. We don't know what grades he had. All we know is that he was the Harvard Law Review editor, and that's it. That's really all we know. And they say his supporters have called him a constitutional scholar, but scholars, that's a big word. That's not just, you don't just throw that word around. In order to be a scholar, you have to write something, have to have some kind of scholarly work published in some kind of scholarly journal or a book that you're credited with. There's nothing like that for Obama. So he's not really a constitutional scholar either. He had no major accomplishments as a legislator in Illinois, and he didn't serve long enough in the U.S. Senate to really accomplish anything. So, I'm not saying this, by the way, to put down Obama. I'm just trying to point out what can you honestly expect out of a person with that kind of a background? Forget about his ideology. Just think about his resume, what he was able to do in his life. Do you think that is next step president? I mean, I don't think so. And I think history the last 8 years have kind of proven that he did not prove that he had the aptitude to be president. He didn't have the experience to be president. And when he became president, he was not successful. I mean, there were some things in there that he was able to push through. He had to use gimmickry to get it through, like Obamacare. But still, I mean, overall as a presidency, Barack Obama has been an abysmal failure. You know, Obama won in 2008 for the same reason that Trump won in 2016. I know a lot of people aren't going to like hearing that, but I really believe it's true. You look, Obama won in 2008 and Trump won in 2016 because people are fed up with the status quo. They're disappointed with the status quo. They want something better than they're getting. The lone difference between Obama and Trump is that Americans in 2008 hoped that Obama would make us feel more like a united country, and they wanted to prove it by showing that race was no longer a barrier for them. And, you know, in a way, that is a good legacy for Obama. He did nothing with it. He didn't turn it into something truly great, but he did do that much. He did show the world and to the rest of America that this country is far enough beyond race. All right, we haven't completely solved all of our racial problems. I get that. But what Obama did do was show that we could see beyond race enough to elect a president and not consider race as an issue. And we did that. We did that. The mistake America made was thinking that Obama wanted the same thing. He didn't. And the proof is 8 years of division, folks. That's the proof. That's it for me. Tony Codispoti, Great Vocal Majority. Thanks for watching.